Welcome back to another movie night here with the LA Kings. I am Jesse Cohen. Joining me as always, producer Bailey. How you doing there, Bailey? Now I see you've got a Cubs hat on there, and I know it's because we've just watched Rookie of the Year. And also joining us, the star of Rookie of the Year, Thomas Ian Nichols. How you doing, Tom?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing excellent. Before we get into this, I want to welcome and thank everybody watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And remind you that if you want to have a chance to ask Tom a question, you have to be watching on Bailey's Twitch channel and submit your question in the chat room there. That's twitch.tv/BaileyLAKings. And of course, one final thanks to Popcornopolis for bringing you this program. So now let's get into it. Also, Bailey, I know that hat commemorates 9/11, and obviously we will never forget that. So you're forgiven for wearing a Cubs hat and not a Dodgers hat on this one occasion. But let's talk about Rookie of the Year, and here to talk about it is the Rookie of the Year. Tom, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, on the show, and thanks for watching Rookie of the Year. I've seen it a few times, and my kids have seen it a few times as well.
Well, let's get right into that then. What's their take? I mean, how old are they, and do they understand that kid in the movie is their dad?
Yeah, my son understood really early on. He's 8 now, and my daughter's 4. But I think he first saw like a snippet of it. It was playing on TV. We were just flipping channels. I stopped on it for a second. He was about 2, and he pointed at the screen. And he goes, "It's Daddy," which is pretty incredible to recognize, a kid version of your dad on a television screen right away. Also, I hope you guys don't mind. But I wanted to commemorate this because the only hockey game that I've ever been to was to see the LA Kings. So I am recording this video chat with you guys onto my OWC Mercury Elite dual drive. I hope that's cool. Okay, cool.
I
just want to make sure. Right. It's like when you call in for customer service and they go, press 1 to comply that you are being recorded. So you press
training purposes, for training and quality purposes, this call may be recorded. Right. So let's go ahead and start off with a question that we always sort of ask, which is, how did you get involved with the film in the first place? How do you wind up appearing in Rookie of the Year?
Rookie of the Year, man, it was, 27 years ago. I remember I auditioned. Well, no, 28 now, I think. We shot it in 92. I remember I auditioned for it, and I didn't get a call back. And I happened to be switching agents at the time. And so my new agent said, "Hey, do you want to go on this audition for Rookie of the Year?" And I said, "Oh, I already went, and I didn't get a call back." She goes, "Well, obviously they don't remember you, so go again."
Wow.
So I did, and then I got the call back, and I got the gig.
That's sort of the ultimate backhanded compliment, I suppose, right? They don't remember you, but you still got the gig.
Exactly.
You said you were switching agents. How does that decision happen when you're that age?
There was it's a complicated story that we don't need to get into, but yeah, I mean, sometimes, there's all sorts of different reasons why it works. Either, you want to work with someone that the feeling is mutual because they're representing you. And there's a lot of reasons why that can change. So when that changes, you try to shop for another representative that's going to believe in you for that period of time. And here I am. Yes, that's true, Bailey. I did lose my agent in the movie and in real life, though my agent was much nicer than my manager in Rookie of the Year.
Now, at that point, you had done a bunch of TV, and you'd also appeared in Radio Flyer. But was Rookie of the Year sort of the biggest stage that you had sort of, you're filming things in arenas in front of, tens of thousands of people. You've got some fairly big names appearing in the film with you. Was that somewhat overwhelming?
There was not really. The most overwhelming scene for me was the moment when Henry walks to the mound for the first time, where we actually shot that between a doubleheader. And so we went there. There was 35,000 screaming Cubs fans at Wrigley, and we had 10 minutes to shoot, Henry going from the bullpen to the mound. Danny got on a mic and told everyone the plot line of the film, so they lost their minds. Got 35,000 people to legitimately chant Henry as I walked to the mound. Yeah, Henry, Henry. So that was the most mind-boggling moment. And that was the first thing that we did before we even started filming. So everything after that was easy.
I'm always fascinated. I mean, anybody who likes to pay attention to the industry knows that you don't film sequentially, right? You film it all over the place. But I'm always fascinated when there's a scene like that, or whether it's, some pivotal moment in a romance or something where the characters are meant to have established chemistry already, right? The stories has already built for this scene. Were you able to? I mean, if that's the first scene you did, and again, just to harp on the age, you were a kid, right? Like, were you able to appreciate the magnitude of what that scene was meant to be at that time?
Oh, I mean, I was stoked to have the job, and at that point, I'd already been going to acting school 2-3 semesters a year for about 5 years or so. So, I mean, I'd already been developing my technique as an actor. Mm-hmm. So I understood the, working out of order. And at that point, too, we'd already had a couple of weeks of rehearsal time where we were doing the scenes. And I even hung out with the actors that played my friends in the movie. And I think we were at the auditions for the girls, doing the read-throughs with them, which was really funny. I don't know why that memory just popped in my head. Bailey, I know you have a question. You do. Yeah, I saw you right.
Yeah.
All right. Do I know how much money you would have made for a minimum baseball contract in '93? I don't know. What were the baseball contracts back then? They were probably $1 million contracts.
You need a second whiteboard, Bailey. I'm gonna minimum contract in '93. I don't know.
A lot more money than they paid me to be in a movie for Fox.
I'm sure. Bailey, do you have the answer for us? Wow. All right.
Okay.
Oh, 103,000. Sorry, I read that as million for a second.
I was way off.
Yeah.
That's still more than they paid me to be in that movie.
Now, obviously, eventually, we're going to have to talk about Gary Busey. I've had a bunch of friends contact me and say, you got to ask him about Gary Busey. You got to ask him about Gary Busey. But watching it back, the director, Daniel Stern, who also appears in the movie, he was on a bit of a ride himself there. Who was more challenging to work with?
Danny is the sweetest, guy ever. His zany characters that he plays as Brickma in Rookie of the Year, and obviously we know him as Marv in the Home Alone movies. And of course Danny did City Slickers, and he was in Diner way back in the day, and then some films that the kids can't see, like Very Bad Things. But he's yes, you cannot watch that, Bailey. Yeah, no, he was the sweetest guy, very, very capable. And I would say that playing Brickma for Danny was like a stress reliever. It wasn't even in the original script. And when Fox and Joe Roth wanted him to be in the movie, he did everything he could. If you watch the film or think about it, you'll notice that he writes himself out of every major scenario of baseball. That's why Brickma gets trapped in between the doors and trapped in the batting cage, so that he wouldn't have to be running back and forth during the biggest sequences of filming. Gary, on the other hand, was more normal on screen than he is in real life. Yes. As you referred to him earlier, Bailey, I think it was Scary Busey.
That's I would not have put two and two together to come up with that, but I have to admit, while watching the movie, there's the scene in the hotel where he's explaining to Henry about punctuality, and now he's going to be in the room next door, but the door malfunctions, and then the guy in the other room. It's just a very bizarre.
Well, hope no.
It's just such a weird scene, and obviously it's a movie, and there's sort of magical realism involved, right? Because it's about a kid who can pitch 100 miles an hour and becomes a star for the Chicago Cubs. But I remember thinking that scene felt like it belonged in a different movie. But that makes perfect sense now. There are these moments where his character, that's brilliant. That goes to show you. One thing I do have to ask you about Gary Busey, though, the mustache was fake.
Yeah,
that's insane.
I had forgotten about that until I read a recent article that Danny and I both did, where he talked about how Gary was unsure because he was also there for the 10 minutes between the doubleheader to shoot a couple of moments going to the mound. And he wasn't sure about the mustache. And Danny is quoted in the article as like slapping the mustache on his face and saying, "Get out there." Yes, the high stinger. But so that's why I think Danny was joking that during some of the scenes, his mustache might be crooked and that might be his fault.
That's, I mean, nowadays, I suppose they just CGI it on, but that struck me as sort of odd. We've got a question from the chat room. The 13th Seahawk would like to know, what was your favorite scene in Rookie of the Year? He said it looked like a really fun film to work on.
It was a really fun film to work on. For me, there's so many great moments. I mean, obviously, I've already, sort of described, the first kind of moment, which is going out on the mound and being in front of 35,000 people. But really working with Amy Morton, who played Henry's mom, Mary, was great as well. And I remember our big scene after she, decks Bruce Altman, who plays the manager. We just had like a great, just good, on-screen chemistry, and she's just such a fantastic actress, so talented. And we actually just reconnected 3 years ago. We reenacted the entire float it moment at Wrigley Field, because I've been going out there every year to throw out the first pitch. And who knows, maybe when everything goes back to normal next season, I can come drop a puck for the Kings.
Oh, we'd love that. But that raises another question. A movie like that, it's sort of an ensemble. It's about Henry, right? But it's also an ensemble piece. But there's sort of multiple ensembles. There's the Cubs world and all of that craziness. Then there's his friends and all the kids at school. Do you keep in touch with both groups of people involved in the film? I mean, it sounds like you do.
Yeah, I mean, I actually just recently reconnected with Danny just over email right before we, kind of went into this new phase of the world where we're communicating this way with everyone.
Right.
And so then obviously 3 years ago with Amy, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I've really reconnected with anyone else as of yet, but I think it'd be fun. I mean, it's a big part of my childhood, making that film for 3 months in Chicago, and it changed the course of my life.
How often do people say the three little words that you may be able to guess I'm about to say? How many people come up to you and say, "Funky butt lovin'"?
Oh, okay. It's those three. I was like,
yeah,
pitcher's got a big butt.
No, that one too. Yeah.
It's funny because I remember, years ago when I was a kid, I would get asked to sign an autograph, and then someone would ask me to write that on there, and I was embarrassed, and I would just say, well, that wasn't my character's line. I can't write that for you.
Good response.
And now, of course, I've got like my commemorative baseball cards that I sell on my website, which you guys have the link to. And now if I'm like, "Hey, what's your favorite quote? Funky butt lovin'? All right." I obviously am, taking it and really just kind of giving everyone a smile on their face. Like, I don't really worry so much. And even though in my own career, I'm moving on to more dramatic work, and I have a film that I produced and I star in, and it's starring Mickey Rourke, and it hits theaters in January of 2021. I still embrace all that is Rookie of the Year because it's still good for the whole family. That film is not for the whole family. It's rated R.
We'll get to that one in a second. Can you hold the card up again real quick, a little bit closer, just so we can take a look at it?
Yeah.
Are there stats on the back of that?
On the back, it'll be backwards for you guys, I believe.
No, we can read it.
Okay. I don't know if it's reversed or not. It's a little story, just kind of, a little stat, like he's a pitcher, plays for the Cubs, he's right-handed. I kind of modeled it after the 87 rookie card from Topps.
That's great. That's fantastic. And as you said, they're available for sale on your website, tinnicholas.com. Bailey's holding it up there. We've got the links.
So it's
available.
It's a secret part of the store, because this is kind of something for people that I don't just advertise for everyone. But if you do tinicholas.com/store, It's a secret part of the website where, again, I'm in this for the long haul, but I know that I can't really connect with anyone right now, and I wanted to still give people the opportunity to get some fun, merch.
So
Thank you, Bailey.
You do Rookie of the Year, then you appear in A Kid in King Arthur's Court and its sequel, A Kid in Aladdin's Palace, and then you wind up in a franchise that means a lot to a lot of people, the American Pie franchise, another ensemble movie. Do you stay in touch with those guys?
Here's to the next step.
That's right.
Yeah, I do. I recently was just texting with Sean William Scott. And
did we ask your question, Bailey? Is that what happened? Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Let's see. I'm trying to think when I saw Tara last. She was supposed to go. So I did a Comic-Con event in Liverpool in February of this year, which I got to actually perform at the infamous Cavern Club where the Beatles got their start.
Oh, wow.
Which was amazing. And Tara was supposed to be there, but it was Shannon Elizabeth and Chris Owen, who played the Shermanator, and Chris Klein. So that was the last time that I saw a few of the folks. And like I said, I was texting with Sean William Scott like maybe just a couple weeks ago or so. What's up, Bailey?
We won't step on the question this time. Can you get Stifler to come on for Goon? That's a great question.
Oh, that is a good question. Well, I can certainly ask him. I can't guarantee that he'll do it. I know that he's, I'm not really sure what's keeping him busy. I know we are all so busy during this like lockdown phase. I feel like I have more time and less time all in the same boat, but I will ask him for you, Bailey. I promise.
Now, for those younger fans who don't know what the Shermanator is, that's McLovin for an older generation, I should say. Effort is all I ask for. There you go. Now, you've also had a chance to play some historical figures, a handful. You played Walt Disney, played Martin Scorsese, you played Frank Sinatra Jr. I'm curious. There you go. That's you as Walt Disney, right?
That's me as Walt Disney. And another fun little merch item on the hidden store, little mini figure. I've been figurized.
I'm curious, when you're playing a real, quote unquote, real person, is the process any different when you're trying to create the character and you're trying to create the performance than when you're creating a totally new character?
Thank you, Bailey, for the website address again. That was quick writing. And I mean, when I'm portraying a real character, they're really the main difference between the two preparations is that all the history is written for me, to a degree, because you've got to decide for a character, what their upbringing is. Did they come from, both parents or just one parent? Because that sort of defines the personality traits of a person, is the environment that they are raised in. And so when you're creating a character, some of those pieces are written into the script. And so then you have to kind of string them together. And then when you're playing a real person, you can find all that history just by researching them. So there's a lot more reading and researching versus inventing what has come up. And an invention or creating it from the ground up, you can designate what you need the character to do or how you need them to be based upon what the director wants. Versus it's more difficult to like bend reality when you're like, but I read about their life and that's not what happened. Which happened with Walt Before Mickey, is that we bent a lot of storylines, and I was like the, walking thesaurus, like, and we were congealing, 3 animation studios into one because it would have been very repetitive to do the same part of the story 3 times in a row. So we only got to do it once.
So I was going to ask if you feel pressure to honor the truth of the character or whatever it is, but it sounds like you're more comfortable honoring the truth of the story, as it were, right? You're able to find what the part of the story that needs to be told rather than, a strict.
Well, no, for me, it's always about honoring the person, but not, I mean, obviously you have to serve the story, But when you're playing a real person, at least the way that I approach it, when I played Abby Hoffman, like for instance, Frank Jr. I got to meet him after the film, and of course now may he rest in peace. But my grandfather was a stand-up comedian on my dad's side, and he used to open up for Frank Sr. and Frank Jr. And then Frank Jr. recited some of my grandfather's jokes to me that he remembered when I told him this information.
That's cool.
And I told Frank Jr. how I really honored the truth of the story for him, because he got lambasted in 1963 for it being a publicity stunt, that his kidnapping was just to make him famous. And obviously there was, I didn't play the movie for comedy with David Arquette and nice selfie, Bailey. And, like David Arquette and William H. Macy are pretty funny, but I played the truth of the real kidnapping for Frank and respected how traumatizing that was for him.
Have you ever tried, sorry, Bailey, go ahead. Sorry. No, come on, Bailey, you had your pop.
He's out of here.
Right. I was just curious if you've ever tried stand-up comedy yourself.
No, that's one thing I don't think I've got the inkling for. Any sort of stand-up comedy aspirations are not in my wheelhouse. I'll leave that to. I remember back in the day, Tiffany Haddish used to work for my brother, and we all worked together for his DJ company. And so I used to go and see her at the Ha Ha Club in North Hollywood when she was, cutting her teeth. And she was amazing back then. I don't think I would touch stand-up comedy with a 10-foot pole, because there is years of work that goes into those routines being as good as they are. They don't just magically happen.
Well, I find it interesting you say that, because the reason I was curious is that you are a musician, and you have, been a musician for a while now. And yes, Bailey, actually, before we jump into this musician conversation, did you want to ask the question that you walked out on a second ago? No? All right. We'll get into the musician stuff. So,
Back to American Pie. Who hated each other? No one hated each other.
But to be a musician requires hours of work, and maybe you're not sticking to as finely timed a performance as like a stand-up comedian would, but you have to know your scales, you have to practice, you have to know the songs, right? You have to be able to plan backwards and forwards, presumably, to feel comfortable performing.
But I've done all that. I started playing when I was 14, and I've recorded 6 albums that you know of, 3 that you'll never hear of, and played over 700 shows. I've cut my teeth as a musician. I guess the thing is that I never had the inkling towards stand-up comedy, and I cut my teeth as an actor. I studied the I could play a song. I've studied like the Stanislavski method, and now getting into Meisner, but I did that for, over a decade. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've cut my teeth in all those areas. And if I wanted to get into stand-up comedy now, I'd have to start at scratch, and I don't have time for that with 2 kids and 3 careers.
Do you find that the acting helps the music, or that the music helps the acting?
They sometimes can kind of help a little bit here and there, but not necessarily always. There's sometimes it does, and sometimes I think promoters think it's like the Field of Dreams, to reference another baseball movie. They think, if you book the kid from American Pie, like the place will just fill up. And, sometimes they kind of translate and sometimes they don't. There's still everyone's got to do the work. I got to do the work to promote. They got to do the work to promote. So I don't think, I think we look at the people who have done great things in their career, and we think to ourselves, wow, it must be so easy for them. And I don't really think it's easy for anyone. I think we all just have our own versions and details of challenges, and we just pick ourselves up and keep on going.
When I watch a movie or a TV show, whatever the format is, I think it's easy to feel like you're watching an authentic moment that person is really living in, that, It is so hard to be as good as you are, Bailey. You know, you feel like, you know, let's say with Rookie of the Year, right? We feel like Henry is really out there. He's really pitching in front of these people. The game is really on the line, but it's, you know, it's broken down. It's filmed from a million different angles. You know, it's take after take after take. Whereas when you're giving a musical performance, right, it is that authentic moment. You are in that moment. You are performing. Do you prefer one to the other, just as an artist?
You know, everything's a different medium in that respect. You know, in the world of being able to edit a performance together, it's great to trust that the team of what everyone's working on will pick the best moments and make you look amazing, like you can do no wrong. Versus in music, I've had to accept, the faults and mistakes, but I've grown to really love them because they make the performance unique. And in return, it's also made me appreciate acting and not breaking character when you make a mistake and rolling with that. I've had moments in my early years when I did Party of Five. I remember a particular scene, did a 9-episode arc with Lacey Chabert. And there was one moment where I was walking to hit my mark and my jacket got caught on a chair and I broke character. And the character was kind of, a little bit nerdy. He was a violin player. He's a little nerdy. And the director was like, hey man, you could have used that. You could have like played that out and like kept that going. That would have been a great moment. I just thought the camera move would have, faltered. The dolly would have stopped. And so I judged it, as opposed to now as an adult, I accept all of my failures and I look forward to the next failure.
I like that attitude. Looking forward to the next. I like that a lot.
Well,
Bailey, did you have
here's the thing. What's the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people?
I don't know.
Successful people have failed more times than unsuccessful people have tried.
Wow. All right. I like that. I like that a lot.
Bailey, his mind is blown. What is failure like? See, we're on the same wavelength, man. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. No, it's all right. It's just I'm reading your mind, or you're bored. I don't know.
No, you think,
but I'm not bored. It's like a magic 8-ball, Bailey.
So let's talk about the movie that you referenced coming out in January. What more can you tell us about it besides that it's rated R? Asking.
I could tell you the storyline. I play a rideshare driver with a questionable past, and I discover that my sister is in debt to a dangerous crime syndicate that is, of course, run by Mickey Rourke. Who else? It hits theaters January 29th. We haven't officially announced that yet, so I can't really tell you much more. I've been luckily this is a 4 terabyte hard drive. So while I'm recording this interview that we're doing to it, I've been putting together all the deliverables for the mini major studio that has picked us up, because we did an independent film. And man, 4K resolution video files they're big.
Yeah, they're no joke.
They're no joke.
Do you prefer playing a character with a little bit of some grime on them, or do you prefer playing a more traditionally heroic? There you go, Bailey's kind of. We're going to be a tech show now for everybody watching.
Drive, Bailey. Mine is a dual RAID 4 terabyte. Oh.
Play nice, Bailey. We're going to have to take those scissors away from you.
Hey, you're running with scissors. Oh, okay, I'll take it.
What are those? All right, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, do I like a character with grime on me?
Yeah, or a more a sort of cleaner cut character.
When I started out taking acting lessons and working on my technique back in 1987, I remember after a couple of years, my acting coach and mentor said, "You're only as strong as your weakest ability." And my weakest point of my technique was in comedy. So he wanted me to improve my comedic skills so I could therefore improve my dramatic skills. And in doing so, I ended up booking, Rookie of the Year around the age of 12 I think based upon honing those comedic skills. But drama is really my roots. So I'm getting more back into my dramatic roles like Walt Before Mickey and now Adverse, the film that I produced. And we're gearing up for some more serious dramatic roles. And yeah, the characters will have a lot of grime because that's what those serious characters have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we all do, right?
Well, I love playing characters that have lots of layers that, you kind of, and no one's perfect. So you have to have those layers of imperfection. Am I reading your mind again, Bailey? What were you going to say? No.
I think it's about American Pie again, if I know Bailey.
She was a duck.
Yeah, and we don't like ducks here. That's because we're kings.
I'm trying to remember. Now maybe this is my own like Mandela effect happening. The ducks didn't exist before the film, right? Or they did?
Correct. No, they came out a year or two after the film came out. Yeah,
like bubblegum shrimp. They like appeared after the movie. Okay,
it's an unpopular opinion around the halls of our offices, but I actually think the Mighty Ducks movie played a bigger role in spreading the popularity of hockey than Wayne Gretzky being traded to the Kings did. Don't everybody yell at me for saying that, but but those things happen. Were you a sports fan as a kid, or our world has never been the same? True enough, man.
The same. I mean, yeah. Again, like I didn't really grow up, as a sports aficionado, being that my life was similar to Henry's in the sense of like my mom was a single parent. I mean, I also have older half siblings, so I kind of had a little bit of both worlds. A lot of, my family tree is very complicated. I remember my teacher in the third grade was like, "All right, Thomas, let's do your family tree." And then about halfway through, Mrs. Ford was like, "Nope, we're going to start something else. Your tree is too complicated."
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Cut right there. So, yeah, I mean, but obviously I knew all in the 80s and 90s, it was all about, Bo knows baseball and Michael Jordan and Wayne Gretzky. And, I mean, those
you just named the pro stars, man.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, Bailey, you've got a question? Or did you bring up the pro stars? Yeah, there you go. Sorry. For those of you who don't know, there was a cartoon briefly called The Pro Stars featuring Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan, and Wayne Gretzky.
That's why I know them, because I was watching that cartoon for sure.
It's an insane cartoon. You mentioned though that you still have somewhat of a relationship with the Cubs. What's that been like over the years?
I mean, that's been great. I'm now friends with the current Cub team and owner, and I've been going there every year since 2008 to throw out a ceremonial first pitch and sing the seventh inning stretch. I've done some events or I did an event last year with Chris Bryant. But I mean, back in the day, I used to do stuff at all the stadiums when it was in conjunction with Rookie of the Year. So there's been for someone that didn't grow up as like a baseball geek, I've gotten to do some pretty cool stuff. And I remember specifically at Dodger Stadium playing catch with Eric Karros while Tommy Lasorda gave me tips on how to throw the ball, which is around the time of the All-Star game. Yeah, exactly. He gave me the old hold. Yeah, the roll. That was Lasorda all the way. And then, like I said, I mentioned that, growing up in Los Angeles and obviously being very privy to Wayne Gretzky and his fame in the LA Kings, the only hockey game to date that I've ever been to is a Kings game. And that's why on the Obvious Shirts website, which is a collection of shirts called 90s movies. Now, this one, Bailey's a tough one. There's a lot of, I didn't make a short URL, so you've got your work cut out for you. But I'm wearing an Obvious shirt right now. So there's one there that is the Henry Rowan Gardner Echo shirt. We just launched, just for you guys, the Rowan Gardner and all the wrong last names.
That's right.
Available today because of this interview. And then there's a Here's to the Next Step, since we talked about American Pie. And then also I did a special, you can't spell playoffs without LA, black and white.
Nice.
Shirt. inspired by the Kings. So
we like it. There are a lot of teams that struggle to find success, but they have these films about them, whether it's the Cleveland Indians and the Major League films, whether it was the Cubs prior to them finally winning the World Series. They had Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield, right? There's a ton of movies and they always choose, right? You're not going to make a movie like that about the Yankees, right? That have, the Montreal Canadiens that have 20-something championships. Before the Cubs finally, it could have, it could really. Before the Cubs finally did win the World Series, though, did you feel like the fans had sort of adopted you as one of the highlights of the franchise's history, being this movie?
When I started going out there to throw out the first pitch, I was doing it A, because I wanted to go back to Wrigley, and B, because my band was getting booked across the street at the Cubby Bear right after the game. And so then, yes, you loved that goat. Am I the goat?
No, there's a curse of the Billy Goat for the Cubs. All right.
Yeah, no, I know. So when I made that my annual tradition, and when I would be in, I guess what we call Wrigleyville, just that there was just like everyone gravitated toward me in that film and embraced me. And even though I'm not from Chicago, I definitely felt a warm welcoming, especially in that area. So always had a good time. I've always had a good time at Wrigley, and I'm bummed I'm going to miss my my annual tradition. It was, there it is.
There you go.
Can't spell playoffs without LA. That's my Kings inspired shirt on the obviousshirts.com website, along with the Henry shirts, which I guess I could show you that one. We just, like I said, launched it today because I knew that you were all watching the movie. And we've only had the Henry Echo shirt for a long time. And then we decided to launch the all the wrong names. There's about 7 of them. I believe my favorite one is, of course, Gardenhoser. Do you, Bailey? Do you have a favorite one? A favorite wrong name?
Oh,
that
he's right. I think
the manager calls Henry. What do you think, Bailey?
I can never tell. Here we go. Rosenbagger.
Rosenbagger. So the
or Rosenbagger, whatever.
I don't know if you could read that there. That's all the shirts on the Obvious shirt.
That's great.
All 7 of them. I think someone made a highlight YouTube video at one point. So yeah, that's the Rosenbagger or the Gardenhoser shirt.
We've got another question about your career, Tom. I'm going to try and I'll probably change the wording a little bit. Apologies to the person who asked it, but you mentioned that you prefer dramatic roles, and that was your origins. Were you ever worried about getting typecast or being stuck as being the clean cut kid or the the comedic type?
I noticed that happened to a lot of my co-stars after American Pie.
Mm-hmm.
I thankfully didn't experience that. Mainly, I think, it took probably about 7 years before the first person put 2 and 2 together that I was the same actor in American Pie that was Henry Rowan-Gardner.
Mm-hmm.
And the studio kind of like focused their energies on advertising it as an unknown cast. So for me, as I moved forward in my career, once, the people understood that I'd already done those 2 things, it was kind of easy to transition. And I don't know, I still did I think around that time, around American Pie 2, I did Halloween Resurrection, and Rules of Attraction was one of my favorite ones in my early 20s. With Roger Avery, who of course wrote Pulp Fiction with Tarantino. Great cast in that one, and a very serious role. And then cut to I think it was about 2010 when I did Please Give with Rebecca Hall and Catherine Keener, Oliver Platt. So I've had these amazing blessed moments of getting to kind of change who I am on screen, which is what I've always wanted. I've always admired Daniel Day-Lewis and Gary Oldman, and even Johnny Depp for being character leads that just kind of lose themselves in the roles.
Choosing projects, I imagine, must be a pretty difficult part of of crafting a career. How long does it take you to make that decision, or are there any, can you read a script in one time and just be, can't believe this interview just topped everything? It's true, Bailey. It's true. This is the new peak for sure.
You're too kind, Bailey. Until Sean William Scott comes on to talk about Goon, then I will be surpassed.
So what all goes into that process of choosing a project? I mean, does the script have to speak to you? Sometimes, do you want to work with certain people? How does that process evolve?
I mean, obviously, so while we were talking earlier about serving the character as the primary focus for myself, obviously a movie is a story, so it has to be a well-told story. And it's also a visual medium, so you want to make sure that what you're reading is going to translate to like the Spielberg test of can you watch it with the sound off and still understand what's happening. So you see these scenes with a lot of dialogue and you're like, that would be great as an actor, until you actually try to do it and you realize, oh man, I'm just a talking head and this is boring and I'm lost. So you want everything to kind of flow. I don't necessarily know that I can tell very, very quickly, but it's all about who's involved. Obviously the script can be good or, sparse, but if you know that the director or the producers involved are, very adept and talented, you can you have to read it with the right glasses on, so to speak.
Looks like Bailey's writing away there. You got something for us, Bailey?
He's writing a script right now, actually.
From the chat, which role did you have to train or prepare for the most or the longest?
Man, I would say probably this most recent one. My business partner and this interview, yes, it took a lot of training to be able to read and talk at the same time. I got you. So my business partner wrote this character, not necessarily for myself in mind. So I had to kind of, prove that I could, play this role. And then once I did, he was like, you're not getting off easy. And during pre-production, we were doing rehearsals every day as well. And I would say that this role, you can't necessarily tell from watching the trailer. Kids, if you're at home, do not find the trailer online. It's not for you. Adults, if you're interested, but even then, you won't be able to tell from the trailer just how different I am. I'll put it this way: it's kind of you're only 13. Is that lion?
That's
years,
in human years, exactly.
Oh, that's in human years. Okay,
yeah.
If that's lion years, you're ancient, dude. I think my business partner showed it to somebody who was, well-to-do in the industry. I won't, name names. And they said, oh, I thought that Tom was in the movie, after they watched the entire film. And he goes, well, he was. He's the main character. Says, what do you mean? So that's like, the only other time that happened to me was in Rules of Attraction. I remember sitting next to my mom at the premiere, and 45 seconds into my first scene on screen, she leans over and she goes, hey, when did your character come on the movie? I'm like, Mom, that's me.
That's got to be incredibly flattering though, right? I mean,
that's my entire goal, right, as an actor wanting to play different characters, is to lose myself so much in the role that I don't sound like me, I don't look like me, I don't walk like me. It's a character.
We've gone about 45 minutes. It's flew by. So yeah. Before we let you go, though, I do want to give you a chance to talk about your music, because I am fascinated by people who are multi-talented. There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now, but whose talent, yes, you, Bailey, is a drummer and a mascot. And by drummer, I mean he just bangs on.
Did you bring your drums like we talked about, Bailey? You got your drums?
Oh, here we go.
Well, I think there we go. got your own drum and everything. Well, one of the things I can offer. Bailey asked me to play a song earlier. I'm because I'm running on my iRig Pro Duo and I've got stereo Lewitt microphones. I could play a song for you.
I mean, if you wouldn't mind, a quick one.
Yeah. I can't really do a Bill Conti song. Nothing from Rookie of the Year. You guys hear that all right?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So I did have a song on the soundtrack album of American Reunion. And we talked about failures, actually. And I tried to get songs on all the soundtrack albums of all the American Pie movies. And it didn't quite work out, but I wasn't one to give up because I'm always looking forward to my next failure. So I attempted anyway. And I got this song on the soundtrack of American Reunion, basically by playing a show. I played the rap party for all the cast and crew. And when I was done, one of the directors, because it was directed by John and Hayden, who came up with Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. They now did the Cobra Kai show, which is coming over to Netflix now. And so Hayden came up, he goes, "Wow, you actually don't suck. We should put a song of yours in the soundtrack."
High praise.
Hey, I'll take it. So this is the song. They asked me if I could cover a song for it. So I was going to cover, the James Band. And then they asked me if I could cover Lit. And so I said yes to all those things. And then they ended up picking one of my originals that I recorded with the bass player from Puddle of Mud who produced it. And actually, because I spent all that time learning all those other songs, that's why I released the Frat Party album. And right now, which I'll stop yammering and I'll play in a second here. I'm actually working on album number 7. And I've got a Patreon campaign that I'm doing. Patreon.com/TinBand, TIN band, where I've been streaming every Sunday for 13 weeks in a row. And I'm, releasing songs to everyone there before they go on iTunes. So everyone gets them weeks early, if not a month early. So, if you're interested in more of the originals, like this one, this is the one that was on American Reunion soundtrack. It's called My Generation. So many wasted days that I cannot erase. All the games we played growing up in this maze. Don't want to hear about how I need to change my ways. Don't want to hear about what you really think of me. This is my life, gonna live it up. Don't waste my time, there's never enough. You don't understand my aggravation. Don't mess with my generation. I'm sick of listening to my boss telling me how I am always late and how he wants to fire me. Don't want to hear about how I need to change my ways. Don't want to hear about what you really think of me. This is my life, gonna live it up. Don't waste my time, there's never enough. You don't understand my aggravation. Don't mess with my generation. One day you'll see everything that I said I would be. Someday I'll figure it out. But can you hear me now? This is my life, gonna live it up. Don't waste my time, there's never enough. You don't understand my aggravation. don't mess with my generation.
That was
There you
great.
go.
Thank you very much. Give a yeah.
Thank you.
From B and Bailey.
Thank you for the digital lighters. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I remember those came out like the first gen iPhones, and they were like, I remember downloading that app back in like 2007.
Well, listen, Tom, I want to thank you so much for singing that song. Also for joining us. Some really insightful advice I think people can take as far as looking forward to your next failure and all the talk about successful people. Would you say failing at more things than unsuccessful people have even tried? I think that's something we should all take with us when we leave here tonight. But thank you again, as I said, for joining us. Thanks to everybody at Popcornopolis and the Kings for bringing this to us. Thanks for everybody watching at home, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or here with us in the chat room at Twitch TV. So for Bailey, for Thomas, Ian, Nicholas, and everybody else, I'm Jesse Cohen. Thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thank you so much.